right, welcome everybody to Wednesday Night Yin. Turn this brightness up so you guys can see. If you're watching at home. We're starting tonight on our back, like we always do. Right? If you're at home, if you have a blanket or something, right, have it handy. We're going to use it later. If you don't have anything that's going to work, it's okay. You can still do what we're going to do without the blanket. But if you have one, make sure you have it handy, right? Or just a pillow or a bolster or anything that you have that could be used to prop you up. All right, but right now, whatever you got, just lay it down on your back. Let your eyes close. Take your first few moments here just to arrive. Breath draw you here to your mat. Guide you, ground you to your mat. So you're both fully focused on your practice and fully present to your practice. Ready to start moving here. Right? You're still on your back. Just bend into your knees. So you're going to bring your knees up to the sky. Your feet are on the ground. Take your feet out wide so that your pinky toes are lined up with the edges of your mat. Take your arms out long in that T position. So we're just going to windshield wiper here at first. Start to open up. Let both knees fall over to the right. And then pull them up to center, drop them to the left. Just go back and forth here, back and forth. eventually, you're going to bring your knees to a stop. Right? Now take your knees, just hug them in to your chest. You can wrap your hands around your shins. You can just have your hands on your kneecaps. We're going to do some lumbar circles here. That means you're going to let your knees go over to the right a little bit, then push them away from your body so your arms straighten all the way out. Bring your knees over to the left, and then pull them all the way back in. So you're just circling around your sacrum, that low part of your back. It should feel good. Like a little spinal massage when we do a happy baby. We're going to do a happy baby later, don't worry. Not right now, though. Do a couple more this way. And then eventually you're going to bring your knees to a stop when you pull them back in. Then start to take them the opposite direction. So you're still going to do those same circles, just going the other way. Let your knees go over to the left. Push them away from your body, bring them to the right, and then pull them back in. It's the same circle, just go in the opposite direction. And then eventually you're going to hug your knees all the way in here. Now, as we hug our knees in here, right, now just take your left leg. Let it go all the way long. Keep your right knee hugged in. Now just keep your hands interlaced, right? Hugging that right knee into your chest. Maybe you take it slightly towards your right armpit. What I want you to do here is start to circle your right ankle. Okay? Just take it 4 or 5 circles one way, doesn't matter which way you go at first. And then just start to circle the other way. So switch directions. 4 or 5 more times right here. And then come to a stop. Now, as you come to a stop here, now you're going to take that right leg. Right? First take your left arm, which is it, right? Take it out to a T, so your palm is face down. Take your right hand to the inside of your right knee and just push that right knee open. So you're bringing the sole of your foot to your left inner thigh, letting that right knee fall a little bit, right? It looks like a fallen tree. I'm going to flip around here so you can see what it looks like with your legs, right? Legs out. I didn't see my foot. But that's okay, right? That's what you want to do here. Stay right here. We're going to stay here for a minute, just letting that leg open, right? So you can put a little pressure on it with your right hand, pushing it further towards the earth. If you don't want to do that, you don't have to. Maybe you need to prop underneath your right knee with a blanket or a block so that it's got some support if it doesn't get all the way to the ground. You don't have to do that if your knee's up in the air and doesn't hit the ground. You can stay right there as long as it's comfortable to you, right? That's the key. All right, now, from here, you're going to bring that right knee back up. Hug it back into your chest. Now, what I want you to do here is just kick your right leg straight up to the sky. Right, flex into your right foot so your toes come back towards your face. Take your hands high around your right thigh. Start to pull the right leg in a little bit towards you. Keep that leg as straight as you can. A little micro bend in the right knee. Mostly straight. Now, just one time, I'm going to have you climb the mountain, right? That means you go hand over hand. You're walking yourself up as high on your right leg as you can go, right? So maybe you get to your calf, maybe you only got to your knee, maybe you get to your ankles, maybe super flexible people can probably grab your foot, right? Once you get all the way up, Then let yourself walk back down, right? Let your head and shoulders relax down. And then just take your hands wherever it feels comfortable around your right leg and hug it in just a little closer. Right? So let your head and shoulders stay down. Keep flexing into your right foot so your heel goes up towards the ceiling. Just feel that stretch right through the meat of your right hamstring. Let's take 4 more breaths here. All right, now from here, take your right knee, hug it all the way into your chest again. Now we're going to finish off on this right side with a twist here. So you're going to take your right hand, let your right arm go out long. Take your left hand out to the outside of your right knee and just guide that right knee over to the left side of your body. So it's like this. Straight on. Put my right arm out. My right arm's coming straight out of my body, palm face down. Pull that right knee over. Now you want to keep your right shoulder anchored to the ground. You want to keep looking over your right shoulder. And that right hip's pulling off the ground. Don't roll over onto your left hip. You'll feel it if your right shoulder starts to pull off the ground, right? You want to keep that left hip anchored to the ground. Your right knee may touch the ground, but probably not. I like to rest my right foot. You see me? I'm resting my right foot there on my left thigh. If you can get a little further down, maybe you can get your right foot at least all the way to the ground. Oh, I really can't. I'm going to tighten my hips slightly. Right, if you can get that foot all the way to the ground, then go for it. Maybe you take a block or a blanket and let your foot or even your knee land on that block. That feels better. Come back around here. But you guys stay right there. Take another 30 seconds or so. Now, take your right knee, pull it back into center. Let's hug it back into your chest one more time. Then we're going to switch out here, right? You're going to let your right leg go all the way along. So your heel's on the ground. And then take your left knee, hug it all the way into your chest. So you're interlacing your hands here. Wrap them around your knee. Really hug that left knee in. Bring it towards the left armpit. And take a couple breaths just to hug it in tight. So feel that sensation in the inner thighs, the hip flexors. And then when you're ready, start to make those circles with your left ankle, right? So you're just pointing your toes, circling. Do it 4 or 5 times. And go the other way. To a stop here, and then as we come to a stop, now you're going to take your right arm, let that right arm go out to a T. Take your left hand to the inside of your left thigh. Just push that left leg open so that the sole of your left foot comes to your right inner thigh. You're pushing that left knee towards the ground. Maybe it hits the ground, maybe not. You want your foot at least to rest on the ground. Maybe you've got to unbend it a little bit, right? Maybe look more like this, that's okay, right? You want to feel this right through the left hip flexor and the left quad as you're pushing that leg open. So you're just looking straight up at the ceiling. Just another 30 seconds or so right here. From here, you're going to take your left hand underneath your left knee, pull it back up into your chest, right? And this time, we're going to kick that left leg straight up to the sky. So you're kicking that left leg straight up, really flex your left foot so your heel goes towards the ceiling, and then again, take your hands and place them high on your thigh, right? You don't want to be super high. Pull it in a little bit, start to feel that tension, that sensation. And then from there, we're going to climb the mountain one time. You're just walking hand over hand, letting your head and shoulders lift up off the mat. Come as high as you can on your left leg. That's it. Maybe it's your calf or your ankle. Maybe it's your knee. Maybe you're still on your thigh. Maybe you're super flexible and you came all the way up to your foot. Once you get all the way up there, then let yourself walk back down. Let your head and shoulders come back down to the ground. Let it all relax a little bit. Then keep that left leg straight. And then just see where your hands land here, right? Maybe it feels comfortable now to hold them a little higher. Right? Maybe you need to drop them back down all the way to your high thigh. Up to you. Right? You start to pull that leg closer to you. Keeping it as straight as you can. It's always a little micro bend in the left knee, so we don't want to lock that left knee out. That's not good for the knee. A little micro bend in it, but otherwise keeping it straight. Even if that means it doesn't come as close to your body. One more breath here. And then you're slowly going to bend back into that left knee, bring it back into your chest. All right, we're going to do our last thing here. We're going to do a single knee twist. Let your left arm come all the way out long, palm face down. Take your right hand to the outside of your left knee, and then just pull it across your body. Let that right knee guide that left knee over to the right side of your body. Your chin and your gaze going over your left shoulder. And again, you can rest your foot on your right thigh. If you got a little more flexibility, maybe you can get that right foot to touch the ground. If you got a lot of flexibility, maybe you can get your left knee to touch the ground. But you want to keep that left shoulder anchored. And don't let yourself roll so far over that that arm starts to pull up. Okay. Feel it right there in the glutes and the hip. when you're ready here, bring that left knee back up. Give it one hug into your chest here. All right, now bring both knees into your chest. Here's what we're gonna do. You're gonna take your hands to the crease of your knees, and we're gonna rock ourselves up into an easy seated position, right? So that means you're gonna come here, legs crossed, sitting up nice and tall. Right, we're gonna do a little flow here. You don't necessarily have to move it with your breath, right? But we wanna get that spine moving in all of its different directions. So we're gonna do this little flow twice through. We're gonna do it this first time with whatever your more comfortable leg is in the front. For me, it's always my left leg, even though I'm right-handed, but I always put my left leg in front naturally. So that's what I'm gonna start with. Then when we do it a second time through, I'll switch with my right leg in front, all right? You don't have to put your left leg in front just because that's what I have. You put whatever leg is more comfortable in front for you the first time through. All right, sweep your hands up to the sky. And then from there, just drop that left hand flat to the ground, right? And reach your right hand up and over. So it's a little side bend, taking the right bicep right over the right ear. You don't want that arm to come in front of your body, right? It's going up and over. All right, now push away from that with that left hand. Bring your left hand back up overhead. Now go the other way. Just drop your right hand outside your right hip. Breathe those left fingertips up and over. Sometimes we do this as a warm-up in a vinyasa class because it moves the spine in all the different directions, but we only hold each position for half a breath each. We're a little bit longer here, but not as long as we held some of the other yin poses. All right, when you're ready here, you're gonna push away with that right hand and come back up. And now we're gonna take a twist. So this time you're gonna drop your left hand again, right? You're gonna drop that left hand back behind your left hip. And then take your right hand to the outside of your left knee. So your right arm's crossing your body. Peel open with that left shoulder and take your chin and your gaze over your left shoulder. Now, untwist here. Bring both hands back up overhead. We're gonna go the other way. Now you're gonna drop your right hand back behind your right hip. Take your left hand outside your right knee. Peel open with that right shoulder and look over your right shoulder. All right, now from here, you're gonna unwind. Take both hands up overhead, reach it up nice and high. All right, and then from there, sweep your hands back behind you. So both hands are coming behind you. I'm gonna turn to the side here so you guys can see a little better what I'm doing, right? And then you're gonna have your fingertips point toward your glutes. Start to pull your shoulder blades together and lean back, look up, take your chin, your gaze up toward the ceiling. Now if you want to here, you can press into your palms and press in to your feet, right? So that your hips lift up off the mat and your knees go towards the mat. If you don't wanna add that hip lift, you don't have to, it's just an option. And then from there, let your hips come back down if they were up. Right, we're gonna come all the way up, bring your shoulders over your hips again, sweep your hands up to the sky, and now this time, we're just gonna fold forward, straight over the shins. So you're just dropping your hands down in front of your shins, start to walk as far forward as you can, keep your back nice and flat with your hands, right? Maybe that means that you just barely got your hands in front of your shins. Maybe you can walk far forward enough that your elbows or your head drop to the ground. You're somewhere in between. Most of us are somewhere in between. You want your hips to stay on the ground. You want your back to stay flat. Just walk your hands as far forward as you can. You'll start to feel that pull in your hips. That's what we're looking for. All right, now start to walk it back up here. As we walk all the way back up. Now you're going to switch your legs. Bring your opposite leg in front. All right, so notice how it feels a little bit different, right? For most of us, our awkward leg, our hips feel a little tighter. So your body's kind of like, oh, I want to switch back. I want to put that other leg in front. Right? We're staying a little longer as we're going to go through this flow a second time. So you have to keep mindful of it, right? Sometimes your body will trick you, right? While you're busy thinking about the side bend or the twist, and your body will just kind of automatically be like this, right? Don't do that. Keep your awkward leg in front, even though it feels awkward. All right, take your hands up to the sky, just like we did before. You're just gonna drop that left hand to your left side, reach that right hand up and over. Feel that opening in your right side body. And then push that left hand away from the mat, come all the way back up. Both hands lengthen your spine, then drop that right hand just outside your right hip and reach that left hand up and over. From there, push that right hand away from the mat. Both hands come up overhead, lengthen out, and then drop that left hand back behind your left hip. Take your right hand outside your left knee, look over your left shoulder. All right, now untwist here. Take both arms up overhead. Let's go the other way. Drop your right hand back behind you. Take your left hand outside your right knee. Look over your right shoulder. Untwist here. Both arms come up overhead. And then from here, now we sweep both hands back behind you, right? Fingertips point towards your glutes. Lean back onto your palms, pull your shoulder blades together. Really start to push that chest forward, take your chin and your gaze up. If you want to, you press into your palms, push your knees towards the floor as your hips lift. If you want to skip that part, up to you. Now, let those hips come back down if they were up. Bring your shoulders back over your hips. Sweep your hands up to the sky, lengthen it out one more time. Turn your palms towards the front of the room, and then just drop your hands down in front of your shins and walk it forward into your fold here. Right, same thing, right? You're trying to bring your hands as far forward as you can while keeping that back nice and flat. Keeping your hips on the ground. You don't go as far here because it's our more awkward hip, our hips are a little tighter, right? And that's okay, you don't have to. Now slowly make your way back up here. Right now, as we come all the way back up, now you're gonna unwind your legs and just put your feet on the ground with your knees up to the sky. You're gonna let your hands come back behind you. So you're leaning back on your hands. Take your feet out wide to the edges of your mat. Pinky toes line up with the edges of the mat. So just like we did before when we were lying on our back, we're gonna do our windshield wipers here. So both knees fall to the right, and then you pick them back up, you take them to the left. Just go back and forth, back and forth. So you're going to come to a stop here. Now, as we come to a stop, now we're going to come around into a tabletop position. All right, and then I'm going to come sideways so it's easier for you guys to see. All right, so you're going to tuck your toes under it first, right, and just press those toes into the mat. So try to tuck all 10 toes. Now, push your hips back, let your hands stay on the ground. Right? Just push your hips back. See if you can bring your hips to your heels. You can't bring them as close as you can. Right? So it's almost like child's pose, except we got those toes tucked, like you're gonna take off, right? And spring forward. I just want you to hold here 2 breaths. And then come back up and back into tabletop. All right, I just want you to do that 2 more times. Shift back, bring your hips as close to your heels as you can get them. If they don't come to your heels, that's okay. Your shoulders should be back behind your wrists. Except if you can see yourself in the mirror, it's like you're about to take off and jump on something. Your for a cat about to pounce. That's what we'll call this, right? Pouncing cat. All right, come back up, tabletop, and then we're going to do that one more time, right? You're shifting back. And now come back up. Now, you need to flatten out your feet, right? If you need to do that little patty cake like we do when we do a toe stretch, maybe that feels good. Do that if it feels good, right? Bring your knees all the way together here. Okay? And then take your feet out wide. So you're still down on the tops of your feet, right? Your toes aren't tucked. And then you're gonna walk yourself back. Now, I should have a block, but I don't, right? If you have a block, this might help. You're trying to come and sit down in between your heels, right? So it looks like this. My hips aren't all the way to the ground. You probably can't tell that. But they're not, because this is a hard pose, right? You can take a blanket or a block, sit up on it, right? Maybe it's better. So it's not toe stretch, right? It's a hero's pose. Because right now we're sitting up tall, and that's all good, right? That's what I want you to do. Sit up as tall as you can. Now, if this is not good for you, right, and you're like, I don't care, I put 12 blocks under there and I still feel like I'm gonna die, then here's what you're gonna do, right? You're gonna take everything out and just bring your feet together, right, and sit back on your feet in a slow kneel, or maybe even in a high kneel, if that's what you need, right? You could be in a low kneel, maybe you take your blankets and your blocks, put them here, and you could be here, right? That sometimes helps. There's all different variations, so I want you to find where it feels okay to you, where you can hang out here, right? This is Yin. We'll hold these poses for a little bit longer. You'll know, right, if you absolutely can't stand it. Maybe that's not where you need to be. I didn't sit on the blanket, that's for sure. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to hang here for the next minute. Bring your feet together and just sit back on your feet in a low kneel. Okay. Or you can sit out all the way up in high kneel if that's where you have to be comfortable. I just want you to take 4 more breaths here. And then from here, move a little bit forward. Still can see. All right, now from here, you're going to take your hands, bring them back behind you, lean back. Now ideally, right, you can lean all the way back, so to push your chest open, land on your palms, look up. There's this little back bend. Now some of you can go even deeper into this back bend, where you can come down to your forearms, good day, maybe, and it looks like this. Some of you can come and lie all the way on your back, and it's not a problem. That's not me. Right? Sarah can do it. She's doing it here. She'll probably kill me if I put the camera on her, though. Right? I'm not going to. But even if you're just right here, you're just on your palms. Now, if you have to stay in low kneel or high kneel, right? Your option here, I mean, you could be in a low kneel. You can take your hands back behind you. You can lean back. It's all good, right? If you had to stay in high kneel because your knees just can't bend as deeply, then you're just doing a little camel, right? Bring those hands back behind you. Pull your shoulders together. Lean back. It's a back bend, right? That's the whole point. It's a good hip opener if you can do it from hero. We're all getting that back bend in. Let's take 4 more breaths here. When you're ready, you're going to slowly make your way back up. Right? Squeeze your palms, bring yourself back up. And then from here, wherever you are, we're all going to come back into tabletop, right? So that's that hands and knees pose. Now this time, as you're in your tabletop, right, I want you to just take your right leg, extend it long behind you so your toes are on the ground. And you're pressing your heel towards the back wall. Just spend about 3 breaths there. So we're trying to open those legs up after Stretch them in doing that hero's pose. And then drop that right knee down. Now do the same with the left leg, right? Get that left leg, extend it, push that heel towards the back wall. Off the camera here, you can see me, right? Pressing the toes into the ground, pressing that heel towards the back, letting that calf, that hip, that knee all open back up. Now, drop your left knee down here. All right, now we're all gonna come back to our backs. Right? So you're gonna let your hips fall to one side or the other. Swing your legs around in front of you. Now we're gonna roll down. Have your blanket handy still, right? Because we're gonna use it. Actually, let's do this before we even go down, right? I have a brilliant idea. Let's roll our blankets into a Tootsie Roll. Right? So, your blanket's in the namaste fold. Here's what you want, right? You want it so that all the fringe is at one side and it's folded in quarters, right? And then you're gonna take it, you're gonna roll it up like a Tootsie Roll. That's why I call it the Tootsie Roll, right? Roll it up like a Tootsie Roll towards the fringe. And then eventually, right, you'll have this little Tootsie Roll right here. Right, so put that to one side or the other. And so we'll use that in a minute or so. But before we finish off with that, we're gonna do our cat wagging its tail. I can't remember if it's wagging or grabbing now. I think it's grabbing. It's cat grabbing its tail. When you sway your hips back and forth and tabletop, that's dog wagging its tail, but we are cats grabbing the tail. Right? So lay down on your back. Now, as we do this, right, as we do this pose, remember that it has progressions, right? So you don't have to do everything that I described here, right? You can pick and choose which parts of it you want to do, all right? So we start by taking our arms out to the sides in that T position, and then let your knees fall over. I'm going to the left, right? So go to the left here. Take your knees to the left. All right, so it's like that supine twist we do at the end of class. What you're gonna do from here, you're gonna take your top leg, that's your right leg, right? And you're gonna kick it forward, right? You wanna let that foot come to the ground. It doesn't have to hang out in space, right? So maybe it just comes right in front of your left knee, right? But you want it to come to the ground and keep sliding it as far forward as you can, right? So maybe that's only an inch or two. Maybe you can kick it, maybe you can practically kick your head with it, I don't know, right? But if you can, you're gonna grab a hold of that right foot with your left hand. Now, from there, you're gonna take your right foot, the one that's on the bottom, right? Start to sweep it back behind you. And then you're gonna take your right hand, I'm sorry, that's your left knee on the bottom. I said right, it's your left knee. You're gonna start to sweep your right hand, though, towards your left foot. So here's my right hand. Oh, it's not really anywhere near it, right? What you can do, if you don't get anywhere near it, it's okay. You're just gonna let your right hand rest on the ground. You're just gonna slide that left foot back as far as you can, right? Maybe I like to lift up my left foot and I pick up my right shoulder. Then I grab a hold of my left foot. Then I lie it all back down. Press my right shoulder down to the ground. Let my left foot come back down to the ground. Now, you don't have to make either of these connections, right? You can just be here, and that's okay. You're doing the pose. What you want here, what you want to think about is your chest facing up towards the ceiling. Right? So both shoulders stay anchored. Your chest is open. It's your legs that are doing the twisting, your legs and your lower body. Right? If I lift up to make this one connection, then I'm putting my shoulder back down. I'm still looking straight up at the ceiling. My chest is still facing the ceiling. Right? So maybe you made both connections, maybe you didn't make either. It's okay. I want you to take 5 more breaths here. And from there, release any connections that you did make. Bend back into your right knee, put it on top of your left again, and then pull both knees back up to center. All right, so let's try that going on the other side. All right, so your knees are hugged into your chest. You're gonna let both knees fall over to the right this time. Now your top leg, your left leg, is gonna kick out straight. Let your left foot come to the ground, right? I'm gonna make that connection. Take it up high here to show you that I'm making the connection, but then everything comes back down to the ground. Now, if you don't make that connection between your foot and your hand, it's okay, right? Your hand can just be reaching out, and you're just kicking that left foot as far up as it will go. All right? Now you can get a better look here at this side, what we do to make that connection on the other side. My right leg, my bottom leg is going to start to slide back, right? So my knee's moving, my foot's moving, and then I slide my left hand towards my right foot, right? So I can lift up, like I said, here I lift up, I grab a hold of the foot, and then I set it all back down, right? Maybe you can do it without lifting up. Maybe even if you lift up, you're not making that connection. It's okay, right? You can just be right here. You've got both shoulders on the ground, chest facing up towards the ceiling. Right? That's our key here. Three more breaths. And then from there, you're going to bend back in, or if you made any connections, right, release the connections first. Then bend back in that left knee, bring that left knee on top of the right, and then bring both knees back up to center. Right? Now, we need to come back up. Right? So you're going to take your hands to the crease of your knees and just rock yourself up. And as you rock back up, now you're going to take that Tootsie Roll that you already made. Right? And you're bringing the Tootsie Roll back behind you. Now, what you want here, right, is for the tied up end of the Tootsie Roll to come right into your low back. So mostly it's long, right? So it's touching your low back, but you're not sitting on it, right? My hips are on the ground. Now I'm gonna lay back over this Tootsie Roll. So it comes right along my spine. My shoulder blades are gonna end up hanging off on the other side of it. Now ideally, your head will be supported by the blanket, right? And so your head will stay in line. If you're super tall, you have a super long torso, and your head doesn't hit the blanket, right? Then what you would do here is take a block, pretend this is my block, right? I'm gonna put the block just outside the Tootsie Roll to lengthen it. So then my head would land on the block. But for me, my head lands on the blanket, right? My hips are still on the ground. Remember, your hips are not on the blanket. Your hips are on the ground. So we're starting to open up that chest a little bit, and the shoulders fall out. Now you can take your arms out to a T if that feels good. Right, you can keep them at your sides. You can take them overhead. Right, it feels a little funky when you take them overhead here because you're higher, right? So you can't get those shoulders to relax. You can always take them to cactus arms if that's what you need. Right. Now, think about your legs. Ideally, what I want you to do is come into a bound ankle position here and just bring the soles of your feet together. Your knees are falling out to the sides. If that doesn't feel good, you can keep your knees bent, or you can let them fall in against each other. You decide. Lots of different variations in how you keep your legs and how you keep your arms. We're trying to open up as much of the body as we possibly can here. We're going to take another minute right here. And everything open. if you're in bound ankle here, right, bring your knees back up. You want to plant your feet on the ground wherever you are, right? Sweep your hands right to your sides. Your elbows are on the ground. Your palms are on the ground. Your shoulders are falling off either side of the Tootsie Roll. All right? Now, see if you can take your feet up to the sky. I bet you they can't come right over your hips, right? Because your hips are on the ground and the rest of your body's elevated. So it's okay. They're angled a little bit forward, right? I want you to come into your happy baby from here. So you're going to separate your feet a little bit, and then you're going to bend your knees a little bit. Then you're going to take your hands, right? Reach for your same foot with your same hand. Probably, right? You can't grab your foot. If you usually can, maybe you can't, right? If you usually grab your ankle, maybe you're up on your knees, right? Maybe if you're up on your knees, you got to grab behind your thighs. It's okay, right? Find where it feels okay to you. It's a little bit different happy baby. Right? Maybe you want, now once you're in it, you want to see if you can straighten your legs. Maybe you want to bend them even more, right? Maybe you want to pull them back. You want to pull them out as much as you can, right? Whatever feels good to you. Experiment with it a little bit. Like I said, it's a much different sensation when we're here on this Tootsie Roll than when everything's flat to the ground. Right? I'm not telling you to rock from side to side because you just roll right off your Tootsie Roll if you did.
I'm rolling off without even doing it.
Are your hips on the ground?
I
You think so? Okay. Then you're going to grab higher on your leg, right? You're not going to be able to reach your foot, so maybe you just grab onto your knees. That's going to give you more stability with higher up on your leg to make that connection. All right, just a couple more breaths here. All right, and then you're going to let yourself roll all the way off the Tootsie Roll. Release your legs first, right? And just roll to one side or the other in a little fetal position. You can move that Tootsie Roll out from under you, right? Send it off to one side. Now you're still laying on your back. Just hug your knees into your chest one more time, right? And then let your arms go out in that T position. And then just drop your knees over to the right. Just come into your basic supine twist. Just hold there for 2 or 3 breaths. We'll finish off with this little twist after everything else we did tonight. And then pull your knees back to center now, dropping to the left. And then pull your knees back up to center. Now we're going to set up for that final pose, that Shavasana. If you want to, you can use, right, your little Tootsie Roll and pull it right underneath your knees. It's a fun thing to do sometimes in Shavasana. Now if you get that Tootsie Roll, like I said, right underneath your knees, it gives you a little bit of support. Takes a little pressure off the low back. You can let your feet fall out to the sides. If that feels good, go for it, right? If you're like, I don't know, Paula, I just want to lay flat on my back, then that's what you should do. Right? You can bend your knees here like you always, if you do always do that, right? Keep your feet on the ground, you can go back to that butterfly. You can roll to your belly, you can roll to your side. Right? Your Shavasana is yours. Find your comfortable place to take it. I'm just offering suggestions. You gotta find what feels the best to your body because you want to be nice and comfortable here. Be somewhere where you're perfectly comfortable, where you're gonna stay still, and be able to stay still, and where your mind is gonna be able to go quiet. So if you're in the studio, come around, spray your towel with a little sea salt. Over your eyes if you're at home and you have a towel, put the towel over your eyes. Help you get a little deeper into your Shavasana. If not, just close your eyes. Let your breath begin to guide you here. You're still focusing on your breath. You're still absorbed in your breath. Releasing control of your mind to your breath. Letting it take you right to a place where there's nothing left in your mind but you and your breath. When you get there, that's always your true quiet of the mind. Slowly start to come back into the room. Wiggle your fingers and your toes. Feeling that increased sensation that comes with a quiet mind. If you want to here, take your arms overhead, do that nice full deep body stretch. And then just let yourself roll over onto your right side in a fetal position. Take a couple breaths right there. Just reacclimate to our space. The sights and sounds of the room come back to you. Take as long as you need right here. When you're ready, only when you're ready, push yourself up to seated, and we will close here. Now let's close with our two Bhamari breaths and then an Om. The Bhamari breath we inhale as we exhale, make that little humming sound in the back of the throat. The Om is the universal syllable, uses all parts of the throat. You can join me in these breaths or you can just listen. Let's close our eyes here. We'll inhale together. Inhale again. And then we'll inhale one final time. Let your eyes drift open. Bring your hands to heart center. Thank you, all of you, for sharing your energy, your practice with me this evening. The light in me honors the light in each of you. Namaste. All right. So I will see you guys later this week. Kelly will be here tomorrow morning to do her cardio and tone. So that's an awesome class. Come join her for that. I will be here Friday morning at 9 a.m. I'm going to do a little Pilates class while Liza keeps recovering. So it's going to be a good time. I'll be here on Facebook Live. There'll be people live in the studio, and I'll be on Zoom for my regular Friday morning Pilates ladies. So come join me for that in one of those ways. I will see you all then. And I'll be here for my usual Saturday slow flow next day after that at 10. Okay? Hope you all have a great rest of your week. See you soon.